Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good to see you. I'm Andrew Skeggs, one of the pastors here, and it's a great day to celebrate 30 years ago. We were opening this building. Some of us remember. For those of you who've come along since, it's great to have you here. Thank you, and you'll have a more formal welcome soon, but I just want to say thank you for coming. We've got a few things we want to let you know. We'll start with Ria.
Yeah, all right. I just got a couple announcements. Number one, Easter camp coming up in like about a month, so that's pretty exciting. Or big camp or camp meeting, whatever you want to call it, but Easter camp. And for Youth Shed, we are planning to have a bit of a choir for a few of the songs that the band are leading. So if you're around youth age, you reckon you'll be in the Youth Shed, 16 and up, basically. Yeah, come find me. Give me your details, and yeah, we'll be singing. So maybe if you're not as confident, but you've always wanted to sing up the front, but you're not sure if you want to do it by yourself, this is a good opportunity, you know? So yeah, we'll be singing a few songs, and it should be fun. Yeah, just come find me. I'll be around. And then, what was my other announcement? Oh yes, there's a youth camp next weekend. So that's very exciting. It's at the Reeves camp. And if you haven't signed up yet, make sure you get in quick. You can still sign up on Facebook or on our Instagram. So yeah, those are my announcements. Thanks.
Thank you, Ria. We got a lot of fallback here. Yeah, thank you. That's better. I don't need to hear myself that well. In other news, we are having a lunch today. So yeah, we encourage you to stay and celebrate. There will be cake. I don't know if there's candles. My daughters were saying, who's blowing out the candles? We'll select someone if there are. But there'll be a cake, so stay around for lunch. This coming week, on next Friday, is our regional World Day of Prayer. It's at the Sacred Heart Church in Thornley this time. And so you're very welcome to come along 7:30 Friday night for that. There are details in my email. Also coming up is our Bringing Livo Together social event. You might see on the chairs, there's little flyers. There's going to be a games night and sausage sizzle. This will be a lot of fun. And so that is in about 3 weeks' time. We'd encourage you to come along that night as well. So yeah, some good things coming up in the next few weeks. And we're glad that you are here today. And I will hand over... Oh, one more thing. Yeah, now if... just see how we go for seating. We're not doing too bad at the moment, but if people are looking like, oh, we can't fit, then feel free to shuffle along and get rid of those spare seats so there's more room. That would be wonderful. All right, I will hand over to the Gunter family. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Warren Gunter, and my son Bradley, my granddaughter Hope, and my great-granddaughter Clara. And it's our privilege to do the welcome today on this special day. I want to start with sharing a story. Back in 1992, 91, 92, I had a contract down at Kwinana, south of here, and I was travelling along Nicholson Road, sitting in the back of the car with my workmates, trying to get a bit of sleep while I travelled down to Kwinana because it was early in the morning. And we're travelling along Nicholson Road this one day, and one of the guys said, "Oh, expletive, that building we thought was a pub is a Seventh-day Adventist church." I immediately woke up, hit my head on the roof, and turned around to see what was going on. And sure enough, the building was being erected. So that was my first introduction to... I knew where Wellington Church, but I didn't know about the Livingston Church. The second one was that our eldest daughter and us used the cornucopia catering to cater for her wedding down at Fremantle Town Hall. So my association with the Livingston Church goes back before the date.
So we'd like to try and do something just here, a little exercise with you guys this morning. Could you all please stand if you're able to? And I know some people won't be able to stand, that's fine, but I'm sure they would be if they could. So, this is no insult, don't take it the wrong way, but if you're a visitor or if you have only been worshipping with us in the last 10 years, you can sit down. If you're a visitor today, or if you've only been worshipping with us in the last 10 years, you can sit down. If you have been attending Livingston from 10 to 20 years, please sit down. If you've been attending Livingston from 20 to 30 years, please sit down. Now, some of our members still standing are those who worked tirelessly to build and establish this church. All of us from this church want to thank you for your hard work. From this group, please remain standing if you are one of those who were voted a chartered member of the SDA company meeting in the Willetton High School back on the 16th of August. This says 1980.
Correct.
1980. 1980, chartered members from back then. There you go, people. These people that are still standing are the people that started this church. Yeah, very good. Thank you very much.
This weekend we'll be celebrating the 30th anniversary of Livingston SDA Church. It's an exciting time to look back at God's faithfulness, to join us of looking forward with faith. For 30 years, the Lord has blessed and cared for the people of Livingston Church. 30 years of prayer, 30 years of preaching, 30 years of singing God praises, 30 years of evangelism, discipleship, and missions, 30 years of baptisms, 30 years of serving the greater Canning Vale area. From a small group of 28 character members gathered together in August 1980, the Willetton High School to a diverse congregation over the 25 nationalities and over 522 members. The Lord has continued to bless us.
Thank you. Have a great day.
And if you leant right over, you could touch the people in the front row. In the beginning. That's the way the old book starts, so that's the way we'll start. We were meeting in the Willetton School, and the numbers continued to grow so much that we got very crowded. In hot weather, you just about cook, or we had fans to cool, and we were so closely packed in there that if you're in the pulpit, you could reach out and if you leant right over, you could touch the people in the front row. So someone said, listen, we've got to go somewhere else. We've got to get a bigger block and build our own church. I happened to be travelling down Livingston Road. I saw this, amongst the scrub, a little sign that said for sale. Oh, it was a bit of a mess. But it was a nice size. I spoke to the neighbour on the, what would that be, the north side. They said, well, look, we're selling, we're moving, so we don't mind what you do. So I went to the other side and spoke with them. He was rather opposed, actually. I found out that he was an Italian, and I said, in Italy, I said, it's very, very good luck to have a church next to your property. I said, just tell him, because it's a church, it'd be very, very, it could be quite very helpful to him. And God would bless him because of it. So I went back and told the church members, we had a board meeting about it, and they said, Les, you better find out some more about it. I said, well, I'm not sure we'll be able to get permission to build a church there, really. The land is rural. And so fortunately for us, it seemed that the Lord provided, when we needed someone, the Lord provided in the church just exactly the person we needed. And one of our members was a town planner. And he said, look, that land's going to be valuable. He said, that's going to go. He said, there's going to be a shopping centre, he said, opposite that block. And some of the church members said, well, we're not going out there in the bush. Because they were asking, I think it was 92,000 they wanted for the block. And it looked like all we could raise was 85. The agent said, look, he said he's not going to take anything less than 92. That's his price, and he's told me he won't come down. I said, tell him it's for a church. And I went back to the church members and said, listen, you better all pray. So we made it quite a matter of prayer. And when I went back again, he said, I think he even phoned me. He said, you can have it. He said, when we told him it's a church, he was quite happy. So the Lord was blessing in every way. So we went ahead, and the site was cleared of all the junk and the rubbish, and the building began. It was really very wonderful that we had a plumber in the church, and he was able to make sure that was done correctly. We had a retired builder who was able to oversee and check on the work to be done. We had an electrician who was able to give some time. Oh, and there was a man, because of what the Pathfinders had done for his little family, his children, or his grandchildren, I think it was actually. He said he would do the tiling free in the toilet facilities. The conference had loaned us a considerable amount of money, and I think we had about half the amount to contribute towards the building. We paid for the block. The sale of one block pretty well covered the purchase of the new one, and then when it came to the borrowed money to build the actual building, the conference loaned that to us, and we paid it back with all these projects. And we had a lot of fun, a lot of enjoyment, quite a challenge, hard work. But the Lord was with us, and today we have a lovely church, a lovely group of folks, and we should be very thankful. What a wonderful day it was for us when the church was opened, and we had a beautiful crowd here. The singing was magnificent. We just had a wonderful time together. Everyone was so happy that the Lord had blessed us. And from then it's gone on to greater successes, hasn't it? It's been wonderful. And it's been such a blessing to so many of us. So praise the Lord. He's given us wonderful leadership and wonderful direction. And let us each be faithful until Jesus comes.
I think it was our second Sabbath at church, and they approached me to be Pathfinder director, and I nearly died on the spot because I didn't know any kids, I didn't know their names, I didn't know their parents, I didn't know anybody apart from one or two people at church. Les and I talked it over, and then I decided I'd accept the offer, and away we went. So we got stuck into it, and we formed a club, and we got them into uniforms and made them all look nice, and so they could be proud of themselves and that sort of thing. Yeah, Brad Harvey was my deputy. He was, and Les, I couldn't have done it without Les. He was really a real offsider to help me. And we worked too to raise funds, because we had a camporee coming up at the end of the year, which only gave us about 10 months to get enough money to take them all over. We decided to go by bus. We had so many kids, we didn't have enough of Willerton to fill a bus. And so Rockingham heard about it, and they said, well, we want to come with you. And just little clubs. And then Fremantle said, well, we want to come too. And there was another couple of kids and their helpers. And so in the end, we had a full, very full bus. Our first camporee was Lacola, which is north of Melbourne. Beautiful spot. What I liked about one of it was the meeting place was up on the top of the hill, and at night time they all had to take a torch, because otherwise you could fall over rocks or anything, you know. When it was time for the meeting to finish, I could hear the singing. I thought, oh yeah, they're coming home. And I looked up this hill, and all these little torch lights were all coming down the hill, you know, little flickering lights, and you know, every kid had a torch. It was beautiful. It was better than the meeting. Well, it wasn't better than the meeting, but it just filled my heart with love for these kids. It was during my time with the Pathfinders that we were approached by the TPI, which is the Totally and Permanently Incapacitated Servicemen of Western Australia, to go to Kings Park on a special day to meet the Governor and be a guard of honour for these folk. Well, that was a real thrill for us, and we all dressed in our uniforms, and the girls and boys, they did a wonderful job of standing to attention, and I was really proud, and it created a lot of interest in the bystanders, of the people that were there, because they'd never seen us before, and they wanted to know who we were, where we came from, and what we were doing there, you know. So it was a wonderful thrill to let people see what our young people were doing. And I was thrilled at the end of my stay with Pathfinders. I had to give it up after about 5-6 years. They gave me the Pathfinder Leadership Award for the year from the conference. And that was quite a thrill. I didn't expect it. And it was because we love the kids, I think. Yeah, we love them. I wouldn't swap it for anything. Hard work, but beautiful kids. If I see the young people, my young people as I call them, here in church, married, little children of their own, and those children, some of them are in Pathfinders or starting Pathfinders now, and it's just a wonderful thrill to see them here in church, loving the Lord, and it's beautiful.
That was recorded 5 years ago, but we thought it was worth watching again. And we just wanted to say, because there are some of our members who worked hard over the years who can't always be here now. Their health is not the same, but they are here today. So we'd have the lights up, guys. Les and Joan, we just want to say thank you to you guys for all the work you put in way back in the beginning, starting off Pathfinders, all that work for the building, Les. Oh, they are good kids, aren't they? And all the work that was done. Yeah, it's still kids to you. So we just want to say, let's thank Les and Joan for all they've done. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it. And just one more before the kids fire up. One of our charter members on the 16th of August 1980 was Don Manners, and it's great to have Don here as well. Love you, Don. Let's give Don a clap. Thanks, buddy. All right, kids, if you can come down the front, we've got a scary-looking fella here. Kids story time. Let's go.
Young, come on down as well. If you just want to come down the front, come on down anyway. Right, my name's Raj Carl, and today I've got a story about my underwater adventures. Come on down, pack it in. That's it. Come on, quick. Those old people down the back only gave me 5 minutes, so we've got to make it fast. Rightio. Excellent. So today I want to talk to you about my underwater adventure. Now, to go underwater, there's a couple of things you need. I'll see if this works. No. 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 There we go. Here we go. No. There we go. No. There we go. No. What? Can you make it go for now? Can I do it? No. There we go. Hey. Rightio. So there's a few things you need when you go underwater. And I've got a few things here before we start. You need one of these. This is a jacket that makes you go up and down underwater. I'll put that on. You need to pop that on because you need that when you go under. If I can get it on. It's been a while and I'm fat now, so I can't get it on. Oh, there we go. Right, so you need one of those. Right, and they clip on. I won't do it. There we go. You clip that on like that. So you put that on first. Right, then you need one of these. This is what keeps you alive underwater. It's called an octopus. Why do you reckon it looks like an octopus?
Because it's got so many arms.
You're right. 100%. Oh, here we go. And this goes around this side. Always get it confused. Right, pop that on around the back. And this thing clips onto here, like this. Right, there you go. And you breathe out of this, like that. And this one's for your mate. So if in case you get trouble. And the other thing you need is, what are these?
Flippers.
No, flippers are fish. These are fins, right? You put them on your feet, and the last thing you put on is, what's this?
Goggles.
No, it's called a mask. Goggles are what you wear in an aeroplane. So you put that on there like that. Rightio. So that's all you need. Now, I decided to go on an underwater adventure. So we got on the boat, and the dive master said, off you go. Now, a couple of rules about going scuba diving. 1, never, ever, 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 ever dive by yourself. You need a buddy. Rule 2, make sure you turn your air on. Very important. So, I dived in the water, splash, in I go. I was with my buddy, and there was a young lady, and we were ready to go down. Now we were bobbing around in the water like this, and she got a bit distressed. And everyone went down under the water, but she was a bit distressed. So I said, we better get you back to the boat because we don't want to hurt you. So we took her back to the boat and up she went. And the dive master said to me, what do you want to do? What do you reckon I did? Did I get back on the boat? Correct, I didn't. I was stupid. I decided to go down underwater. I thought I'd find the other divers and see if I could find where they were. So down I went. Push this little button. Down I went. Under I went. Now, look at that. Can you see those divers?
Yes.
Well, I couldn't. There's something called visibility. That means what you can see in front of you. And sometimes it's awesome. You can see all the way back down to the church. And other times you can only see in front of you. And this time it was pretty bad. I couldn't see in front of me. So I decided to keep going, and there was a big rock wall. I'll follow the rock wall down, because apparently down there was a cave of all sorts of critters I can go and find, and that's where the divers were. And then all of a sudden, I saw this fin. I thought, wow, that's a big fish. Wonder what kind of fish that is. Looks like a tuna or a mackerel. I thought, it's kind of weird for a mackerel. And then it swam away into the gloom. Remember? Visibility was bad and I couldn't see it. All of a sudden, boom! That came out of the dark. So what do you reckon I did? No, I peed myself because I was scared. I was absolutely frightened. So, luckily for me, there was a rock wall. So I dumped the rest of my air, and down I went into the seaweed, and it was all around me. I was sticking my head out. And then he came past. Yeah, he was about that far away, and his eyeball tracked me like this, all the way through. One went past, and a second one went past. So I thought, I know, I've got an idea. If I come out and swim behind the sharks, I could see where they are. Do you reckon that was a good idea? You're right, but I didn't know that at the time because I was stupid. So I came out behind the shark, but fish swim faster than humans. And so he took off. And then I'm there in the middle of the ocean, and then sharks were coming up underneath me. They were coming up over the top of me. And I was pretty darn scared. I was very scared. So I thought to myself, I need to make a plan. What do you reckon I should have done? Yeah, close. I went, I know, I'll go straight to the surface. That'll be easy. So you pull this down and woof, up I go, and up I went to the surface. And boom, that was me going up to the surface. I went pale. That's how scared I was. Oh, I know, it was scary. So anyway, I bobbed up to the surface, and there I was. And I thought, I'm really safe now. But was I safe? No. You're correct. Because I said, the only difference now is I can't see them. They're underneath me. So I said, what am I going to do? And I was really scared. And the only thing I could do, and I remember someone saying, if you're ever in a spot of bother and you're not sure what to do, turn to the big man upstairs because he'll have an answer. So I thought, well, it can't hurt. I'm out here. I can't see the boat. I can't do anything. I'll have a quick prayer. So I remember saying, dear God, because I had my eyes open because I was scared the sharks were going to come and get me. I said, dear God, please help me because I'm really scared. I don't want to wee myself again, and I really want to find this boat and get out of the water with the sharks. And then I had this real distinct impression. I said, you need to calm down, Carl, because I was pretty nervous. I was bobbing around in the water. You need to calm down. And you need to turn around. So I turned around, and lo and behold, what was behind me? Now, I could have popped up anywhere, but I popped up right there, right behind the boat. And I remember I turned around, and when you normally get to the boat, you take off your work, take all this stuff off, take your fins off, and get on the boat. But I swam as fast as I could. I stepped onto one of those ladders. The boat picked me up out of the water, and I just fell onto the deck. And I remember the dive master coming up to me and said, "You all right?" And I had this in my mouth. No, I'm not. I spat it out. I said, I've seen a shark. So the moral of this story is that sometimes in life we do silly things. We don't always listen to our mums and dads. We don't always listen to the people around us. We get ourselves in bother. But whenever you're in bother, remember this. All you have to do is have a word of prayer, right? And sometimes the big man upstairs doesn't answer you the way you want it to, but he will answer you. So thank you for listening to my story. I hope that was a bit of fun. You can go back to your seats and remember, never, 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 never dive by yourself. And remember to turn your air tank on. Oh, sorry, kids. Oh, you better come on back down here. I got in trouble for letting you go. Come on down here because there's a song. There's a kid's song. This lady over here says you need to come over. So come back over here. She's telling me you need to stay. So come on, back over here. Good on you. I can't sing, so I'm going to leave.
So first song. Do you guys all know the actions for Who's the King of the Jungle? No. Okay. So when we do Who's the King of the Jungle, you go hoo hoo, and you hit your chest like the gorillas do. And then you go Who's the King of the Sea, and you go wobble 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 like that with your nose. You hold your nose like when you go underwater. And then we go Who's the King of the Universe, and you go like that. And yep. She knows. Yeah? Okay, so let's get into it. Sean. Streets you guys can go back to your seats now.
Please stand to sing Come Now Is the Time. Oh, wait, one. Sorry.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everyone. I just thought I'd come up and say that Livingston is so blessed by, for all the years gone by, for music. So many people probably here today have been involved in music in Livingston. If you've been involved in music in numerous bands at Livingston, would you put your hand in the air? There's got to be more than that, surely. And I see some people who we haven't seen for a while who were in our bands. I was in a band called Immersion, where Werner used to play flute, and so did Karen Thorne, who's here today. Nice to see you guys. There was other bands called, we had Conviction, Unity, Desert Rose. We had Zion, Charlene's here today. We had Harvest, and if I missed any, I said Conviction, didn't I? So, have I missed any? Is anybody in a band that I haven't mentioned? And then there's been some of the more recent bands with Heidi and Nicole. Any others? No. Yell them out. Oh, I'm getting to them. Yes, I am. So we've been really blessed for many, many, many years with music. There's been many bands, and you know, one of the songs that we did as when I was in Immersion, we did a lot, was "Come Now Is the Time to Worship," and I'm really feel blessed that I can now mentor a new generation of musicians, and they're going to lead you in that song now. So if you would quietly stand, please, and we'll do "Come Now Is the Time to Worship." Thank you.
Come, now is the time to worship. Come, now is the time to give your heart. Come, just as you are to worship. Come, just as you are. One day every tongue will confess you are God. One day every knee will bow. Till the greatest treasure remains for those who gladly choose tonight. Come, now is the time to worship. Come, now is the
join us in singing a more like recent song that our church sings, Behold.
Behold the Father's Son, the mystery He lavishes on us, as deep cries out to deep, how desperately He wants us. The things of earth stand next to Him like a candle to the sun. Unfailing Father, what compares to His great love? Behold His only Son, the Lion and the Lamb given to us, as word became a man, my soul should know His Savior. Forsaken for the sake of all mankind, salvation is in His blood. Jesus Messiah, the righteous died for us. It was
Thank you. You may be seated.
It's now time for our offering, and our offering today is for our local budget. That's money that goes into paying for our bills and maintaining the church and keeping it squeaky clean for, so we can really enjoy the comfort of a church that is nice and comfy. So dig deep as we invite the deacons to come forward to collect our offerings, our tithes and offering this morning.
Happy Sabbath to you at Livingston, and congratulations on your 30th anniversary. It's good to know that a church like yours exists. And I know that when I'm reading the book of Philippians chapter 1, where we say, I thank my God in all my remembrance of you in verse 3, that is the exact same feeling that all of us in the Johnson family have towards you as a church family. We love you, we care about you so much, and we're so thankful that the love that you have that has been given to you by God is displayed in every single day of the week, and in particular on Sabbaths. You have been such a huge impact in our family, and we will never be able to thank you enough. May God bless you for another 30 years, or until he returns.
Hi, my name is Pastor Ian Royce. For those who don't know me, I was the pastor at Livingston when we built and changed from Willerton to Livingston. And for those who I do know, it's great to have this celebration, and greetings to you all. I count Livingston and the time I spent there as one of the highlights of ministry. It was a great time and great results, and glad to see the way things have gone from then to here. And I do wish you all the very, very best. Thanks.
Congratulations, Livingston Church, on reaching your 30th anniversary. What a wonderful milestone to celebrate. Well, I was fortunate to intern here with Pastor Phil Leanhouse in 95 and 96. And it was with him I was able to keep in shape thanks to all the letterboxing that we did together. Well, I want to thank you too for standing by both Michelle and I and helping us through what was a very difficult couple of years for us both. Well, reflecting on those early years, I'm struck by the incredible community spirit Livingston possessed. A few standout memories were all the fundraising opportunities to pay off the church loan. These were full of family fun times, picking fruit at Carmel when it had an orchard and helping out with cornucopia catering and all of those impressive years of cooking for Big Camp. My focus was primarily with the youth. I particularly remember the early years of developing youth church. The leadership at the time were very conscious to incorporate this new worship service without splitting the church. So even back then, Livingston Church had a growing together mindset. I'm also grateful to the friends who I made during this time, and they continue to be part of my life today. Shane Lambert, who also encouraged me to hang out at Craft Club. I was to offer a devotional and a prayer with the ladies. I wasn't really sure what a bloke in his mid-20s could offer these ladies, but I turned up anyway and did my best. And it's such a delight to see these initiatives continuing. And so really this is why I'm so excited for Livingston's future. As you continue to serve the community and live out the principles of Christianity in your daily goings, I know that you will continue to make a real difference in this community. May God continue to add his blessings to the next 30 years and even more love, laughter and fellowship than the last.
Livingston Church, congratulations, 30 years, who can imagine? It only seems like yesterday when I was there as pastor. I really enjoyed my time working with you guys, the friendships, the things we did together. It's great to see the church prospering. Well done for 30 years.
G'day Livo Church, I'm Clem. I was your senior pastor for 7 years up until the end of 2010. Wow, congratulations, 30 years. I remember in 2003 while still pastoring in Queensland receiving the invitation to be your pastor. And to this day I still reflect on how clear it was to me God's leading to be there with you. And I can honestly say that those 7 years were the most rewarding of my 37 years of pastoring. Also, probably the busiest and most demanding 7 years, because Livingston Church has so many great ministries and many dedicated leaders and elders and ministry teams. So God bless all of you who've been so committed to serve in love and ministry to God's people at Livo Church. And thank you for the privilege that I had of those 7 years ministering with you. And just a word of encouragement, because the past 3 years, I believe, has demonstrated an escalation of last day events. And recorded in Matthew chapter 24, 25 and 26, Jesus teaches on specific signs just before his return and how to be ready. And Jesus implores in many places in those chapters, he says, watch out that no one deceives you. He says, learn. When you see these things, know that it is near. Keep watch. He says, be ready. Not get ready, be ready. And then watch and pray. You know, our only certainty is in our spiritual relational connection with him. And we know this gospel truth, that God has done everything that you and I need to be eternally reconciled to the Father through Jesus Christ. And that is just beautiful, good news. But our part is faith. Faith is a choice. And in our 21st century culture, saturated with secular, atheistic evolutionism, daily nurturing our trust relationship with them has never been more important. So first, basic, watch and pray, Jesus says. Secondly, the Bible's clear, hunger and thirst for the Word of God. Eat it up every day. Third, fellowship with other believers. There are others, but these are the basics of nurturing our trust relationship so that we can endure last day's trouble. So just love Jesus first with all your heart and soul and mind and strength. And again, congratulations, and God's grace and peace and blessings be poured out upon you.
So we played this song last night for the teen hangout and kind of stuffed it up a little bit. But hopefully we won't do the same thing this morning. And just please stand and sing with us, Egypt.
Deliverance, the exodus of my heart.
pastor at this church. And this morning I get to pray for our church and pray for the future of our church. So I want to invite up the front all the youth and young adults. So I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but I'd love all the youth and young adults. Anyone who considers themselves young, please come up the front. Okay. I actually wasn't expecting so many people. Yeah, you can make another line. Okay, I'm just going to go to the side here. Welcome to the stage. Yeah, okay, while everyone finishes coming up, I just want to say, so I've worked here for a year now, and as a theology student, I went from church to church doing placements. I was not loyal to one church, I had to keep moving. And it can be hard to consider a church home, but I definitely consider this church my home now, and I just love it here. So I love this church, and I want to pray this morning for all of us, but also these people up the front, because they're already leading us now, but they're the leaders for the next 30 years, or until Jesus comes, which I hope Jesus comes first. But these are our leaders, and they're really the life of the church, and I want to pray for everyone here and for our future and for what God is doing in their lives and in the future of our church. So thank you for coming, and I want to pray for you now. Dear God, thank you so much for this church. Thank you for every single person that is here and for every single person that's ever entered our doors and who's been connected to Livingston. Thank you for all the lives that have been changed here because of our efforts. Thank you for the way you've used us to bring people to you. And thank you for everything you've done in the past. But please bless our future. Be with every person up here that is going to make a difference for you. Be with our whole church. And be with us moving forward. Be with our next 30 years or until you come. And please come soon, but please be with us until you come. Please give us the power and the fire and the passion to keep doing your work until you come again. Please fill us with your Holy Spirit moving forward and give us more power than we've ever had before to continue to do your work until you come again. And bless every single person here in this room and up the front. Please bless us and inspire us to keep moving forward and to keep making disciples for your kingdom. So thank you for the privilege of being a part of this church, and help us to keep following your will for our church. And just thank you, and please continue to be with our future and bless us and guide us in a really powerful way. So thank you for all the incredible people here up the front, for all our leaders and all our future leaders and anyone that you're going to use here at Livingston. Please bless us and go before us, and thank you. In your name, amen.
While I'm getting ready, I need the legends of Livingston to come forward. Brian claims he's still in the youth group, but I'm not sure if that's true. So Brian and Tony, John, Joan, and Julia. There's a lot of J's in there. Got the triple J. There you go. So maybe they are the young people. All right. Yeah, these people know how to work, how to set things up. They worked hard over the years. All right, have a seat, guys. Anywhere, yeah? I'll sit up the end. Grab a mic. There we go, Jane. Oh, you're over that side, I think. Hopefully I can count. Yes, we've got enough seats. This is good. Microphone, Brian? Always dangerous giving Brian a microphone, but it's okay. Okay, and one more. Thank you. Got some notes here, Sammy. Here they are. Thank you. Now, interestingly, hold them all up like this. The Willetton group came together in August 1980. We're going to mainly talk about the Livingston experience, but now when I was the Fremantle Church pastor, Fremantle used to claim, oh yes, we planted the Willetton group, but it wasn't quite that simple. So who came from Fremantle? John, you were there, weren't you? Yeah? Who else do you remember from the Fremantle days?
I brought my wife.
Oh, that's a good thing.
I'm not allowed out on my own. We had quite a few. George and Anne. Who else came from? The Holts.
The Holts.
Yeah, the Holts came first off. Because quite a few people followed after or very soon.
Do you want a list of the names? I can give them to you.
Well, tell me,
Paddy and Edith.
where did you come from, you and Diana, Brian?
We came from Victoria Park. There was a meeting out at the conference office in Gosnells, and we were out there. Came home that night after we'd said we'd go to Willetton, laid in bed and said, what have we done? Because we had all our friends, our community at Victoria Park. Shirley, put your hand up. Helen Wilson. See those two ladies? Put your hands right up. They're the ANZ of the list of 27. Yeah. And you were both at Victoria Park, if I remember correctly, at the time.
Yeah.
So there was...
32.
There were 27.
27, yeah.
I'll just...
And we had South Perth, I think. There was a South Perth church that had closed up. Were you there, James? South Perth, yeah. And so it was quite a group that came together. Tony, you weren't there at the beginning, but where did you and Shane come from?
Shane and I came about 3 weeks later, and we were attending Mount Lawley. I'd just come over from Queensland, and I'd met Shane at work, and we came along 3 weeks later. We got engaged about a week after that. And
wow.
The guys at Willetton, who we hardly knew, put on an engagement party for us. So we thought we'd better stay.
Yeah, cool. And Julia, where did you come in? Where were you before?
It's on.
Oh.
Oh, it's on. I came from Belmont.
Belmont, right, yeah.
But I'm a bit of a blow-in because I wasn't originally.
Yeah, no, that's
they were
all right.
established.
That's
so
okay.
I
That's
don't
all right.
see myself as the stalwart group.
Well,
like
I'll just
Brian.
mention a couple of things. And the date only struck me this week when I was doing the research. The 16th of August 1980. I'm glad something good happened that weekend because those of you who heard Steve Ferguson and I speak a couple of years ago about this, on Friday the 15th of August 1980, Desmond Ford was sacked, and that led to the whole controversy over that. And on the 17th of August 1980, Azaria Chamberlain went missing. So it was a pretty terrible weekend for Australian Adventism. But there you go, Willetton.
It was my birthday on the 19th.
There you go. So 2 good things happened that week. So that was good.
There were other birthdays around that time, John. Diana's and Craig's.
Yeah. Now,
Craig wasn't born at that time.
just for people, younger people newer to Perth, as I understand it, at that time, there wasn't much east of Willetton, between Willetton and Armidale. Is that, Tony, your town planning, is that about right?
Yeah, that's correct. The growth of Perth was up the north coast and down the south, heading towards Mandurah. So the Planning Commission reviewed the corridor plan for Perth and decided to extend out this particular way. So my firm got the job of doing the planning for Waratah and Livingston, and that's when Les found the site here. While it was still swampland across the road, we knew that it was going to be a shopping centre and a residential community, so it was opportune to buy at that time.
Yeah, there was a block in Riverton that the church owned, but it had, constrictions, and so luckily, well done, Les, convinced them that this was the way forward, and it was out in the sticks. Even, I came here for Tony Knight's ordination in 1993, and I came up from Armidale. I'd never been up that way before because I was based in the country. And I remember driving up and thinking, man, there's like nothing here. This is like a jungle, until we got to Livingston. And there was no shops over the road. There were no houses around here. It was quite a new area. So I don't know if anyone wants to comment the size of the building. Did anyone ever say why you're building such a big building?
I think Tony can add to that, but I think the original part of it, there was a discussion whether we should build half of it and then build the other half later. And that's fraught with danger because often you get a half the building and never get the other half. But the decision was finally made, and I think this is correct, that we would do the whole job. And that's the best thing to have ever been done, because otherwise you end up with either the hall without the church or the church without the hall. So it was all done in one go.
Yeah.
All one go.
We're very fortunate that we purchased the block, as Les said, for about $85,000, which was sounded a lot at the time, but really it was a bargain price. And then we were able to negotiate with the builder, and the price dropped down to just over $500,000 to build the whole complex. And the whole complex was built within about 8 months. So it'd be good if you could build a house within 8 months these days. But
Amen. I wish.
And council was very good to us because we were scratching around and didn't have much money at all. And so we put in the car park, the same car park that we've got today, and we negotiated with the council and said, from an environmental point of view, it'd be good if we could have a lot more grass. And they accepted that because we'd mainly be using the car park of a weekend, that we could just have the grassed areas and use that as a car park on the weekend. So it was good for us as a church because it saved us a lot of money, but also good for the environment because we've got grass and trees there.
That's great. So I'm sort of interested before we move on, because this is, we're sort of used to it, but this is a big building and a big site. Most other churches in Perth, even more recent ones, were sort of fairly small and modest. Like, who led the vision to have such a big building? And was anybody going, you're mad? John, do you remember?
Not really. In those days, it was pretty easy to get on, and I'm sure it still is. But we were very lucky in those days because we were still relatively small, you might say, and a lot of folk had been there since day one. We all got on really well without too much drama, and I left, or Jenny and I were transferred east in '88, so we left just as the final plan. I think, Tony, at that stage we put the last iteration of the plan together, which was going to press the green light, and I think pretty much didn't change too much from that. But I can't recall any major problems. Everybody was pretty fired up. There was a big vision. We had the insights that Tony could bring through planning. And at that stage, there was only Fremantle Church, there was Gosnells Church, and Armidale had a church that they were running out of the school at the time, and basically across to Queen's Park there was nothing here, nothing. And so yeah, I don't recall that as being a major hiccup to anybody in the planning. So yeah, we left just as you started to build, which I was disappointed about. I don't know what it is about me and churches.
You sure you were disappointed?
Well, I was, because I'd had a fair bit to do with it at that stage. I can still remember the look on some of your faces. I was approached by the church president to see if we would like to do the catering for camp. And he knew that we were obviously looking at raising money in a pretty serious way. You can only make so much on Lamington Drives and everything else, and we did that. And I said, I don't know. I was pretty scared about that. And I can recall we had a church camp at Mylup, and I took a lot of the folk down on the Fremantle Pathfinder bus. I drove the bus down with everybody. And on Sunday morning, I suggested we go for a little tour, have a look around. And I pulled up along the road and had a captive audience and suggested that this is what we should do as a church. We could make, I think it was $3,000 or $4,000 in a weekend at camp, church cooking. I had several large eyes just glued directly at me, and I knew it was nothing to do with my good looks or whatever. And we discussed that for a while, and there was born the catering side of this church, and not that I'm taking any credit for that, I'm not. Everybody, they were some of the best times and the most fun times, the most serious hard work, but the best times that we had as a church in those days, and obviously you continue to do that over the years. And so yeah, there's a lot of memories, and it's a pleasure for Jenny and I to be back again.
There was a lot of fundraising. Joan, what do you remember fundraising? What sort of things did you do?
Well,
Yeah, hold your mic up, Joan. Yep.
we had the smaller things with the Lamington drives, the chocolates to be sold, the quiz nights, the socials, the wonderful skits that were done with the men dressing up as ladies and delighting us with their singing and dancing. And that was a lot of fun.
What,
Those,
phone books, I think?
social-
Did you deliver phone books, Joan?
Phone books.
Yes. We then had such things as going out, getting the tender for the white and yellow pages. A driver went out with a trailer load of these phone books, and here we were, adults and children, picking up books and having to put them in the front doors of everyone's property. That was hard work. We had John and Madge Pedersen. They had the painting of units in Vic Park, and there we were, children and adults painting, so that was fun once again.
Yeah, that's good. Let's pick up with Brian there, because John is here today.
John's over
Tell me
there.
about John and the jobs that John had you do.
So he'd come and say, I've got a block of flats, and he'd say, can you get the labour together? So when Les came today, I reminded Les that tomorrow, Les, we've got a block of flats that John wants us to paint, okay? But we would paint. There were the grapes that we would go and pick up in Bindoon. We even went up to the Orchards farm one time and collected rocks and whatever else off the ground. You name it, if it was possible to be done, especially the cooking out at the campground every year, it seemed to go on forever for a while, and potatoes, that machine that, used to clean the potatoes. Anyhow, I mean, if there was a way of making money, Robert Adams and I went and collected chicken poo and sold that. Here's $2. Go and use your $2 and see how much money you can raise from that. I can remember the chicken. Well, anyhow, we won't go there. But if we could do anything and it made money honestly, we did it.
And I guess at this stage you had kids and you had church offices. Is that right, Tony? Were they busy times?
Yeah, they were pretty busy times. And yes, with John Pedersen. John, you should stand up. Perhaps stand on a chair so we can see you.
There he is.
There
Let's
he
give
is.
John a clap. Go on, John.
John's, as you can see, John's on the shorter side, but he's a short German guy, and he had the maintenance contract for a lot of units. And so we were very fortunate that John and Madge should get a motley crew from church, and we'd sort of go and work for them all day, cleaning and painting and doing all sorts of stuff. And John turned us into an efficient painting machine, really, and we made lots of money for the church. So thank you, John and Madge, for the tremendous effort.
If you want your house painted, we're happy to come and do it. Because, and I'll just say one thing. John was not a pain in the neck. However, he gave us all pains in the necks because much of the painting was ceilings.
Ceilings, yeah.
And it would go on from all day long. You'd be painting ceilings. So when you had to sort of bring your head down, you thought, oh, John's a pain in the neck.
Let's just talk a little bit about Cornucopia. Now that sort of fired up, I think, after the building was opened. There was still money to be raised. So who can were you involved with Cornucopia at all, Julia?
Not as much as some of the team.
Yeah, but tell us about it. What was all that about?
Well, weddings. I don't know about funerals. No funerals.
A lot of weddings.
Weddings, celebrations.
Celebrations,
Yeah.
So, and that was, I just remember Eve and Betty and Brian Turner
Yeah, we've got Eve is here today. Wayne
Wen-
Vogel was
Wen-
involved.
Wendy and Dennis Wilson,
Yep.
Fran and Max Hulls, Eve Kunis, Wayne. other
And
people.
behind the scenes, I do remember Patrick McCall,
Paddy
who's a
and
great
Steve
washer-upper.
Woods.
We didn't have the washing up machine, so we
At
had
the
to
sink.
do all by hand.
Lots of dishes.
At the sink all the time, washing up.
Yeah, and that went on for a number of years. I think it only finished up around the year 2000. Is that about right? 2001, somewhere around there. Yeah, a lot more work. So, just a couple more questions. So, Livingston became a church with a contemporary and a youth focus. How did that come about? Because it didn't start that way. But yeah, who can comment on that?
I'm happy to comment. We're very fortunate. We've had a number of really good, positive ministers at our church. We also had a youth department that used to run the summer camps, and a lot of our youth were involved in summer camps, and then they were sort of gained leadership skills and were mentored by Jackie and Tony Knight and other youth leaders that were down there at that time. And Charlene Jank at the time was one of those people, and she was very passionate. She was a new member of our church, and she was quite keen, and Charlene's here today. She was very keen on drama and also experimenting with a youth church. And we as a board said, look, we're happy to give this a go. And Charlene set up youth church in the back youth room, and it grew so quickly that we had to swap the church around. So we had the more traditional church then in the youth room, and we allowed the youth to come in and occupy this space. And that's still going today. And Charlene started that 25 years ago, a long time ago, and it's been fantastic. And it was so lovely to see so many young people and youth, the teen bands, so many people actively involved in church. And it was because of the commitment of people like Charlene and Michelle and Sam, those people that sort of stepped up and wanted to be involved. And I think our church has always encouraged young people to get involved, and that's great to see.
Well, we better leave it there. There's a lot of stories we could tell, but there'll be opportunities. So I just want to say, there's some people that are still with us who are here on day one. Shirley, John and Jenny have come back, Annette Dubikin, Patty and Edith, Brian and Diana, Don Manners, and others who may not be on this list, who were there on the 16th of August 1980. Others joined soon after. And it's just such a blessing, all the incredible amount of work you guys did. This building, church is about the people, but this building has been such a blessing, such a facility to run so much ministry. And yeah, you worked your butts off. And we just appreciate all those people who were involved. So let's just thank them and everyone who's involved. Let's give them a hand. Thank you. Okay, thanks, guys.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah, Brian.
Joan Major earlier on was talking about how she took on the Pathfinders. I can remember when Joan and Les, very early in the piece, came to our church at Willerton, and we had a quick meeting, and we said, these people would be good to be our Pathfinder leaders, So I got the honourable chance or offer of you go and ask Joan. So Joan, I'm sorry, but it was me that asked you to be the Pathfinder leader all those years ago.
Thanks for saying yes, Joan. All right, thanks, guys. We'll have a few more messages from former pastors, and then I'll share a few thoughts to wrap it up.
Oh man, is this working? I don't like technology. Oh, there you are, Livingston. So good to see you. I see a lot of familiar faces, and I see some people that are new, which is awesome. For you who don't know, I'm Pastor Anthony McPherson, and I had the privilege of being a pastor at Livingston in the early 2000s. I was there along with Pastor Steve Goods and Pastor Clem Van Balagoyan, and really enjoyed my time there and with them. I hear you've got
Hi, Skiggs. I'm glad you've got Skiggs as pastor. And Megan. Megan is one of my students here at Avondale. Hi, Megan. When I think back on my time at Livingston, I just have really warm memories of all the youth. And there's a real bunch of lads which I loved hanging out with. Of the small groups we got involved with, of many youth programs and youth events, visiting with you, opening up God's Word. It was a real privilege, and I enjoyed it so much. Now, let's not talk about the road to Bethlehem scenes that may have got out of hand. There may have been a lot of script alterations and additions, and I want to apologise to the writers. And I blame Steve Ferguson, so please, let's not talk about that. A thing I appreciated about Livingston was actually the leadership team, the elders, and the tone you set, and it flowed through the whole church. And I just want to encourage you to be a leadership team of balance and of warmth and of commitment to God. And I just want to say congratulations on 30 years, all that God has done. But please don't rest on past achievements or don't exist by comparison with others. I just want to encourage you to go deeper with God, deeper with Jesus, the gospel, His word, and involvement in His mission and service to Him. So, love you guys. God bless.
Hello, Livingston Church family. How much I miss you guys. I don't know if you remember me. I haven't been gone that long, so hopefully you remember me. But if you don't remember me, let me remind you. My name is Willie, and I came through Livingston as a young pastor, and you taught me so much about ministry, about youth, about life. I'm so grateful for you. You embraced me as a young man, and like I said, I'm so grateful for you. Memories of Livingston. I cannot ever forget my first sermon at Livingston. I was so nervous, I was sweating, and Mike Walker walked up to me, shook my hand and goes, "Oh, you'll be all right, man, you'll be all right." And then he looked me in the eye and goes, "Oi, go break a leg." And I was like, "Thanks, Mike," because that really gave me confidence that this church is going to embrace me, and you did. And I'm where I am today because of the investment that you put into me. So thank you so much, Livingston. And I know there's so many lives that have been changed and transformed because of your ministry. So, and another one that I really, really want to give a big shout out to was at my ordination, there was a massive cake that was made by Joan Tate. And I still remember that day. And I thank you so much, Livingston, for making me and helping me and shaping me to the person that I am today. And I'll always call you my home church. So celebrate well, enjoy, break a leg, Mike, break a leg. Not literally, please, but enjoy because you deserve it. And I praise God for you. All right, be blessed today and have fun.
I'm sitting here at the piano at Wellington Seventh-day Adventist Church, and I've just finished playing the hymn All the Way My Savior Leads Me. And that hymn captures the sentiment of my heart, and I trust it is your heart's sentiment as well as you celebrate your 30th anniversary. Think back on how God has led you from your inception, humble beginnings maybe, to where you are today. And were it not for the blessings of God, you would probably not be able to celebrate your 30th. So give glory to Him. Congratulations, Livingston. I think back fondly on the time that I spent there with you 10 plus years ago. Wonderful times. Livingston Church is a great family church, big but still family. And I know if I walk congratulations one more time. Bye-bye.
Hey Livo, it's great to see you, and congratulations on 30 years, well done. You know, if ever there was a time that needed churches that were speaking to a contemporary voice that reached into the community and made a difference, it's now. And you know, guard what you have, because there are so many little churches that struggle to speak the voice of the people that you're trying to reach. So you keep on searching for different ways of reaching as you go forward to reach into your community and connect. Congratulations on Road to Bethlehem starting up again. You know, what is it, 15 years nearly of Road to Bethlehem. So we need churches like you, Livingston, and so glad for you, and you know, working out how you pass that flame onto a new generation of leaders. And I'm speaking to you, Tony. It's a really important thing. So keep up the good fight, and I know that we live in very strange times, and we will need contemporary congregations that actually speak a language that people can understand, and understand the love of Jesus for them, their families, and the hope of the future. Thank you, and just love being a part of it.
And then there was me. I feel like I stood on the shoulders of giants. Hey, what a great bunch of people that have led this church. And Paroshka sends her regards as well. She couldn't make a video, but many people are thinking of us today. Now, let me reassure you, I also am dangerous with the microphone. It's not just Bryant, but this is going to be short. So, okay, so kids, fear not, we're almost at lunch. I did want to just offer a couple of thoughts, then we're going to sing a song and a benediction together to finish up. Being salt and light in the world. You know, Jesus said to his followers, and therefore to Livingston, you are the salt of the earth, but don't lose your flavour. You know, salt is no good if it doesn't flavour. We've all had that experience where you buy some chips from the chip shop, you think they've got salt on them, you go down to the park, open them up, no salt. You're like, bleh. It's just not the same, hot chips without salt. And salt, you know, it preserves food, it flavours food, and Jesus says, I want my followers to be salt and light. I want them to be salt and to flavour and to bring God's flavour into your world. And he followed on saying, you are the light of the world, like a city on a hilltop that cannot be hidden. No one lights a lamp and then puts it under a basket. Instead, a lamp is placed on a stand where it gives light to everyone in the house. And I must say, it is really good moving around in this community, because some of my previous churches, if I said, you know, I was the pastor of such and such Seventh-day Adventist church, people would say, where's that? What's that? But here, largely because of Road to Bethlehem, because of many of the ministries we have done, as I move around, people say, oh, we know you. We know that church. We know what it does. And it's a blessing to this community, giving light. And you've all been a part of it. It's not the pastor, it's not the board, it's not necessarily what happens on a Saturday morning. It's the combined efforts of the church 24/7 that makes a difference in the world, to being a light to the world. But then Jesus said, and he also said, hey, let your good deeds shine out for all to see, so that everyone will praise your Heavenly Father. And I think as we look back over 30 years, there's things that haven't gone well. You know, I want to acknowledge that today's the day to celebrate the things that have gone well. But like, you know, in a family, you look back and you go, there were good times, and then there were those other times. So if you're someone here today that's got some disappointment with Livingston, I acknowledge that. But nonetheless, overall, I want to say, hey, well done, Livingston. You have let your good deeds shine out for all to see, and people have praised your Heavenly Father, and so it should be. And the other text I want to use is this, from 1 Corinthians 9, where Paul talks about if we're going to shine our light, we have to do it in a relevant and contemporary way. You know, it's no good trying to give people something that they see no value in. And so Paul says, as he mixed with different groups of people in his world, he tried to think, what can I do to connect with these people? What can I do to relate to these people? Even though I'm a free man with no master, I've become a slave to all people to bring many to Christ. When I was with the Jews, I lived like a Jew to bring the Jews to Christ. When I was with those who follow the Jewish law, I too lived under that law. Even though I am not subject to the law, I did this so I could bring to Christ those who are under the law. When I'm with the Gentiles who do not follow the Jewish law, I do something different. He says, I too live apart from that law. I don't do all the Jewish stuff, so I can relate to them and bring them to Christ. I don't ignore the law of God. I still obey the law of Christ, he says, but still I do things differently. And he finishes up saying, hey, when I'm with those who are weak, I share their weakness, for I want to bring the weak to Christ. And then he says, hey, I try to find common ground with everyone. Or in the classic translations, I try to be all things to all people, doing everything I can to save some. I do everything to spread the good news and share its blessings. And one of the things I love about Livingston is it's tried to be relevant and contemporary and say, what can we do in this day and age that makes sense to children, to youth, to young people, to our community? And we need to keep asking those questions. We've tended to do things the same way over the years, and some of that might still be relevant, and sometimes we need to listen to our young people and listen to our community and say, okay, what do we need to do different in the next 30 years? It's all part of the conversation. At least we have those roots where we want to be salt and light, we want to be relevant and contemporary. And I want to finish with 6 things I love about Livo. Number 1, I love that Livo is big. Now, not everyone likes things on a big scale, but I like a big operation. And I love it that from the start, they said, we're going to build a big facility. And back then, the group of people that were here was not a huge group of people like we have today, but they had a big vision. They said, why don't we build something big that we can do things on a big scale? And not long after the church was open, they said, oh, we need more room. And so they extended the small hall out the back, was added on later. And so I love it that Livo had a big vision from the start, and we continue to try and do things on a big scale. I love that Livo serves the community. There are many cool things that Livo does. The craft group that's been going for years and years and years on a Wednesday morning. Many community ladies have come along to that group and made connections with us and been blessed through that craft group. Of course, Road to Bethlehem, where thousands of people are just clamoring. We get messages from about September onwards. Is it on? Is it happening? We want to come. We want to come. We get so much positive feedback. It's a lot of work. But I just honour those who got this going in the beginning. Paroshka, Karen Thorne, and all those guys at the beginning, and people who've championed it over the years, like Steve Jones and Clifton and others. And there's many more I should mention. It's been a massive thing, and it's really exciting that we can do things like this. It's not to say that we couldn't serve the community in other ways, and if you have ideas and energy, let us know and let's do it, but these are great things that we've done. I love that Livo loves kids. My kids love being here. If I get transferred somewhere else, I'm not convinced they're going to come with me. This is a good place to be. And thank you that we have a kid-friendly environment. Thank you for the people who've served for years and years in the kids' ministries. You know, there's people who've been doing it forever, like Nicola and Linley and the Blagdens and others, and there's others I could mention. And it's such a precious ministry, and thank you for those who are doing it now. It's just so great that we have such a place where children want to be and they can be ministered to. And of course, our adventurers and pathfinders. It was tough from the beginning, Joan, but you took on the challenge. And others over the years, you know, Brad Gunter, Steve Jones, Sean, and Carlia, Louise, others. Desiree, yeah, so many that have been involved with this. And it's not easy, you know, it's like a military operation taking our pathfinders out on camp. It is a big operation, but it's fantastic that we just do this, and our adventurers and pathfinders are so blessed. I love that we do that. I love that Livo loves young people. The youth church that was mentioned that Charlene and the others started, and it's still going. Fantastic that we have this heart for young people. And now our teen band, the next generation, is stepping up and becoming the youth and leading out. Thanks, guys. I love that Livo is multicultural. If you look at the faces, I encourage you to have a look at the photos of the 1996 photos out on the wall there. They're mainly Anglos, and things have diversified over the years, and that's fantastic. And I love that we're a multicultural church now, and we all have something to contribute. That's fantastic. And lastly, I love, like Paul, I love what he was saying, Pastor Goltz, that we're contemporary. That God's got room for all sorts of churches, but he needs contemporary churches that speak in the language and the music of the people of the day. And I love that Livo has had that heart, and I hope that we always keep doing that. Big, serving the community, loving kids, loving young people, multicultural and contemporary. These are things that we can celebrate. As we look to the future, there's other things that we want to do. As a board, we've been talking about how do we build spirituality? How do we build more relationships, more small groups? How do we connect with people who are on the edges of what we're doing? How can we be more warmly welcoming? How can we have an effective online presence? We can't rest on our laurels, but we need to keep going. But nonetheless, congratulations, Livingston. Thank you, Jesus, for working in this place and through this place, and may the Holy Spirit continue to do so. Amen? That's what we want to do. All right, we're going to finish with a hymn or two. I would ask Lois and Glennis to come. Now, I'm going to throw together an impromptu choir here. You don't have to be on the mic. We're going to sing Blessed Assurance, and then we're going to finish with We Have This Hope. That was a song that the church always used to finish with at the end of every service. So we thought we'd crack that out. So if you're African and you can hold a tune, you need to come up, because we know that's how they do it at home. I've been to Africa, so I'd have a few Africans coming up and sing with me. And if you've been in one of the worship bands over the years, come on up. And current singers, teens, whatever. I need a little choir here to sing with me. Come on up. Yeah, lead the charge, Sam and Michelle. Let's have a few African singers. Come on up. Yeah, come on, guys. Brad, thank you. Here we go. Thank you, Melanie. Here we go. All right. The reason I chose this hymn is because we've been telling stories about how God has worked through us, but ultimately the stories we tell are the stories of how Jesus has worked through us. So as we sing This Is My Story, let's be glad for what God's done at Livingston, and let's also say, hey, thank you, Jesus, you're a center of it. Please stand and let's sing together, Blessed Assurance. Here we go, choir. Blessed assurance. Perfect submission.
Praising my Savior.
perfect submission. All right, we're about to crank into We Have This Hope. I would like to thank those who've helped me pull this program together. Tega Farka, Darley, thank you very much. Thank you to Linley for resources and ideas. Thank you to Tony. Thank you to those who've done so much. We're going to have a great lunch together. All right, so we have this hope. Now, Laura, come on up wherever you are, Laura, because at the end, after I pray, we're going to turn the lights up and we're going to get a few photos of you. So don't sit down straight away. Come on up, Laura, while we're singing, and let's sing We Have This Hope. We have this hope that burns within our heart, hope in the coming of the Lord. We have this faith that Christ alone imparts, faith in the promise of His word. We believe the time is here when the nations far and near shall awake and shout and sing, Hallelujah, Christ is King. We have this hope that burns within our heart, hope in the coming of the Lord. Let's pray. Lord, thank you for inspiring the pioneers of this church to get a light going in this area. Thank you for the hard work that went into making this building possible. And thank you for the many, many people that have served in ministry here over the years, that have reached out, that have welcomed people, that have done your gospel work. And so as we go forward, may we continue to be salt and light and advance your kingdom in this community. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, stay where you are. Where are you, Laura? Come on up. Take a couple of photos of these people. Smile, everybody. Yeah, you guys can go back. Go back and stand where you are so you're part of it. Okay, here we go. So over this side. Everyone say Livingston. Cool. In the middle, everyone say Livingston. And over this side, Livingston. Oh, last lot, Livingston. All right, and I just want to say the food is ready. Lord, thank you for the food that we will eat. We eat it in honor of and thankfulness to you. In Jesus' name, amen. Go and eat and go and serve, Livingston. See you later.